Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. So we'll continue reading Madhurya Kādambinī. So last time we were looking at like the devotee is the stage of Prema, and he got the darshan of the Lord, and after that the Lord disappeared. So after the disappearance of the Lord, he was lamenting, and for him the whole world looks shunya, or empty, void, and in that way he was lamenting, and he looks at the whole world, and he thinks that the whole world is about to devour him. So this was his experience, and we continue reading after that. Tata kurvan ha prabho sundara mukha aravinda madhurika sudhadhara dhurina bhavita vasita nikhila vipina shri vigraha vara parimala vana mala chatuli tali jala. So after doing that, he again laments, "Oh, my Supreme Lord," he says, and this one is actually a single word. In the Sanskrit, you will have like one word, a very long word. So here is one word we have, which is quite long. So this is a description of the Supreme Lord, and he's calling out to the Supreme Lord. And while calling out to the Supreme Lord, he's describing using various adjectives, like if we are calling out to our beloved, "Oh, beautiful one," like that, right? So similarly, with various adjectives in Sanskrit, you can also call out. So here he says, "Oh Lord, with a beautiful one who possesses the beauty of the lotus face." He's beautified with his lotus face. And Sudhadhara Dhurina, his lotus face is streaming nectar, sweetness. Bhavita Vasita Nikila Vipina Shri Vigraha Vara. So he is possessing something that is scenting the whole forest of Vrindavan, and it is on his body. What is that? Vara Parimala Vanamala. So it is the best, and it is pure, and it is the forest garland. So that garland this Kṛṣṇa is wearing, that is actually creating fragrance all around Vrindavan. So the Vrindavan is made of, so many flowers and different kinds of fragrances they emit. But the Lord is wearing the garland, and that garland is actually creating much more scent than all the forest flowers that can create together. So because of this scent fragrance this garland is creating, naturally the bees get attracted, and they get agitated. Chatuli ali jala. They get agitated. So such a beauty and ornaments the Lord is possessing. So he is addressing that Lord. Punaha api kshanamapi tatra bhavantam drishyasam. May I see you one more time, he is saying, just for a moment. Sakrideva cha swaditaka eva swadita tanmadhurikaha na punaha evam abhyartayushye. So I have tasted you only once. I have tasted your sweetness only once. I won't ask it again. Please show me only one more time, and just for a moment. So in this way, even though the Prema Bhakta gets the darshan of the Lord again and again, he just wants to see the Lord one more time. And he is praying in such a way that I'm not going to ask you again in this way one more time, but just please show me your form one more time. He is requesting. Iti Vilapan, in this way he is blabbering. Lutan, he is rolling around the ground. Shvashan, he is breathing heavily. Murchan, he faints. Unmadayan, he goes mad. Prati disham eva tam pashyan. So when he experiences all these things, what happens? He sees Kṛṣṇa everywhere, in all directions. So when he sees Kṛṣṇa in all directions, Krishan, he laughs. Shrishan, he goes and embraces. Hasan, Shrishan is joyful. Hasan is laughing. Atan, he roams around. Gayan, he sings. Punaha api anikshamanaha anutapan. Again, Krishna disappears. So because again he is disappearing, he starts feeling miserable. Rudan, he cries. So in this way, alaukika cheshtite yeva ayungshi nayan. In this way, the devotee is spending his whole life in this extraordinary behavior. Alaukika. Laukika means worldly behavior. Alaukika means that which is beyond the world. His behaviors are beyond the worldly, common. Doesn't fit to the standard of the worlds. Swadehaha apin asti nasti va na anusandhathe. So in this way, he is completely absorbed in prema that he is not even inquiring whether he is still possessing a body or the body is not there. He's not caring about it. Tatakacha samaye panchatam gachatam swadeham na janan. So at that time, what happens? His body gets disintegrated and then he merges into the 5 elements because the body is made of the 5 elements. And he is not even aware of that. That means basically the devotee passed away from this world. But he is not, from his point of view, he's not even aware that his body got disintegrated into the 5 elements. He's still continuing his mood. Nothing has shaken any bit of his love or his experience of the Lord or his abhiman, experience of his self. Nothing has changed. Maya abhyartitaha sahayeva karuna varuna alayaha. So he is still glorifying the Lord. So the Lord is, I have worshipped the Lord again and again. I have prayed to the Lord again and again. That Lord, who is an ocean of mercy, what he does, tathayeva pratyakshi bhuya, he becomes visible to his eyes completely this time. Sakshat sevayam mam niyunjanaha. He then engages this devotee in the service of the Lord. Swabhavanam nayati. He takes the Lord to the Lord takes the devotee to his own home, that is to the spiritual world. So he is not understanding. Iti janan, but this one he is understanding. But he is not understanding that his body has been disintegrated, but he is understanding that the Lord came in front of him and he is engaging him in his own service and he is taken to his own home, the Lord's home. Iti janan krita krityaha bhaktaha bhavati iti. So in this way, the bhakta becomes an accomplished. He who has accomplished his goal. The purpose of life has been achieved. So here ends the description of the Bhava Bhakti. Then he continues, Adav Shraddha tata sadhu sango atha bhajana kriya tata anartha nivriti sya tato nishta ruchis tataha atha asaktis tato bhavas tata prema bhyudanchati. So this is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu he quotes. Adav Shraddha, first there is the faith, then there is sadhu sangha, then there is the association of the devotees, then there is practice of devotional service, bhajana kriya. Then anartha nivriti happens, your anarthas get destroyed. Tata nishta, then when most of the anarthas are destroyed, the nishta stage, the steady state comes. Then comes ruchi, taste. Then comes asakti, attachment to the Lord. Tataha bhavaha, then comes the bud of love, the real love, bhava. Tataha prema, then comes the prema, which is the love of God, abhyudhanchati. So slowly, these stages come about in the devotee. Ityartaha sadhu vivritaha. So the explanation of this verse has been nicely described in Madhurya Kādambinī, a whole book. He says, Ataha api yatha uttara swadu vaishishtya bhajita sneha mana pranaya raga anuraha mahabhava akyani bhakta kalpa valyaha urdhva pallavagamini phalani santi. Still, beyond these stages, you still have special stages. Prema is not the last stage. We saw that Prema is described here. Beyond Prema, there is Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Mahabhava. 6 more stages. They are also there. And he's saying this, previously as described, these different stages are, different aspects of the creeper of bhakti. So when the creeper of bhakti grows further and further, and the top of the creeper of bhakti will have all these different stages, which it means they are all higher stages. Bhakti kalpa valyaha urdhodra pallava gamini. So they are the fruits hanging onto the top of the tree. Natesham aswada sampad aushna shaitya samarda saha sadhakasya deha bhavet iti natesham tatra prakatya sambhavaha iti natani atra vivritani. So they have not been described here. Natani atra vivritani. He did not describe all these stages. Why? Because these stages are not manifested in this world. Why they are not manifested in this world? Because the sadhaka's body, which is made up of the 5 elements, they cannot hold the heat and cold of the experiences that you are getting. It's like a war, he says, samarda, of tasting these higher stages. So the higher stages produce varieties of emotions and so much bliss, and that tug of war of the bliss and the emotions cannot be held by a sadhaka's body. It does not have the capacity. So, and because of that, it does not get manifest in this world. And so, because it is not manifest in this world, he has not explained all these different stages. But these stages are again explained in Ujjvala Nilamani and other works. But this one is not explained for the practicing devotees here. Kimcha, furthermore, iha ruchi asakti bhava premasu lakshayitva sakshad anubhava gocharatam prapideshu satra santi api bhurini pramanani na upanyastani. So, after having described all these stages, ruchi, asakti, bhava, and prema, and the experience of these different stages, there is the stage and there is the experience of the stage. He has explained both. Though there are so many evidences for these things, he has not given evidences anywhere. He mainly just focused on explanation. He has not given evidences. Pramana apekshaya hi anubhava vartma parushya apadakatvat. So because he did not depend on the pramanas, the reason is when you're reading through, your experience gets a little bit harsh because, you explain something and then you give a quotation and then you explain something and then you give a quotation, you explain something, give a quotation. In this way, you don't get a contiguous reading. So because of that, he has not given the evidences prior in the book. I think there is something. Okay. Kimcha tani apekshani chet. But if you want evidences for all these things, then he is listing out all these evidences. Okay, here are the evidences. So how he is going to list out evidences? First, he gives evidences for the stages itself, ruchi, ashakti, bhava, and prema. Then he gives the evidences for experience of the stage. First, what is the description of the stage of bhakti? And then how a devotee, when he undergoes that stage, what are all his experience? So then he gives experience of this stage, ruchi anubhava, asakti anubhava, prema anubhava. This should be rati anubhava, I guess. Yeah. Then spurti. What is the spurti of the Lord? He gives evidence for the Lord, for the stage. Sakshat darshana, direct darshan of the Lord, he gives. Labda darshanasya swabhava, how that darshan looks, what Kṛṣṇa does. So he gives an evidence for that. Cheshtayam pramanani anusandhaya vicharitavyani. Then the devotee's behavior, he is explaining. So we'll go through these verses. The first one is the evidence for Ruchi, which is given in 1.5.27. Before I go, anybody has any questions or comments? All right, okay. So this is a conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. In the first canto it occurs. So in that conversation, Narada Muni is explaining his own experience of bhakti. In that, he is telling how he has got the ruchi stage, that is the taste for bhakti. Tasmin tada labda ruchehe mahamate priya shravasi askhalitha matihi mama. So when he attained the stage of ruchi, what happens? Priya Shravasi, that is the Kṛṣṇa. In Kṛṣṇa, his mind became askhalita. That means undeviated. Skalana means falling down. Askalana means not falling down. It became completely fixed on Kṛṣṇa because he has got the taste. Right now, we may not have taste, and that's why our mind is not focusing on Kṛṣṇa and just wavers around. But when you attain the stage of ruchi, the mind becomes completely fixed. Yaya aham etat sad asat swamaya pashye mayi brahmani kalpitam pare. So he says, so because of the maya of the Lord, swamaya, he was seeing sad and asat, the subtle body and the gross body, even though he himself is a Brahman. Parabrahman means the pure soul. So though Narada Muni, the soul of the Narada Muni, or each one of us is a pure soul, we are seeing only gross body and subtle body. We are not seeing the soul. The reason is because we are confused, bewildered by the Maya of Kṛṣṇa. So translation, oh great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle body, subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental. So next he gives the stage of Asakti, 3:25:15. So this is a conversation between Kapila Muni and his mother, Devahuti. And Kapila Muni is explaining about bhakti. And in that, he is explaining this verse. Chetaha kalu asya bandhaya muktaye cha atmanaha matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam va pumsi muktaye. So he says mind or cheta or your consciousness, that is the reason for the bondage and the freedom of this soul. We get two things, bondage and freedom. And for both the things, the mind or cheta or the consciousness, that is the reason. Okay. Guneshu saktam bandhaya. If you become attached to the gunas, then you become bound. Pungsi ratam va muktaye. If you become attached to the Lord, ratam is attachment, attached to the Lord, then it leads to liberation. So this is the attachment, asakti stage. The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when the same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. And then next he gives the evidence for Rati. Rati means Bhava stage. 1.5.26. Again, we are going back to the experience of Narada Muni. Tatra anu aham Kṛṣṇa kathaha pragayatam anugrahena ashranamam manoharaha. So every day, anu aham, every day he is hearing Kṛṣṇa katha, which is being sung by these great sages. And by their mercy, he is hearing these pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, which are very attractive to the heart. Taha Shraddhaya me anupadam vishranvataha. So by having a great faith, every word Narada Muni is listening to that with great faith, every word. And what happens because of that? Priya Shravashi, that is the Lord who is very dear, whose glories are spread around everywhere. So in that Lord, Mama Abhavad, here it says Ruchihi, but in Vishnu Chakravarti edition, it says Ratihi. See the Mama Abhavad Ratihi. So these differences are exist somewhere here and there in Bhagavatam. So we'll take Vishnu Chakravarti's version because we are reading his book. So Ratihi. So when Narada Muni was hearing with faith every word of this Kṛṣṇa Katha, his love of Godhead awakened, or bud of love of Godhead. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantis, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing the personality of Godhead increased at every step. Here, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is saying, my rati or bhava for the Lord has been increased. And 1618, he gives us evidence for Prema, which is again the experience of Narada Muni. Rupam Bhagavataha, sorry, not this one. I think previous one only. Yeah, numbering is mistake. Prema ati bhara nirbhinna polaka angaha ati nirvrtaha ananda samplavelinaha na apashyam ubhayam mune. Prema ati bhara nirbhinna polaka. So this polaka is, he gets hairs are standing on the end. That is the polaka. So that when the hairs are standing on his end, what is that? That is a symptom. That's anubhava. That's a symptom because of the excessive prema that is one is possessing in the heart. Because of that, the hairs in the body stand on end. And he is completely merged into that bliss, the ocean of bliss, the prema. And because he is merged in that, Narada Muni is not seeing either himself or the Supreme Lord. So this is after the Supreme Lord has shown his darshan to Narada Muni. But because he was having prema and he is experiencing the symptoms of prema, he wasn't able to see neither the Lord, neither himself. He was overwhelmed. O Vyasadeva, at that time being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. So we have seen the evidences for these different stages mentioned in Bhagavatam itself. Then next we will look at the evidences for how when the devotee experiences these stages, what happens. But we will continue that from next week. Any questions, comments you would like to ask, you can ask. Okay, then we'll stop here. Thank you, devotees, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.